So I'm trying to pretty much like move somewhere like outside of California or like the Bay.
Have you
But
do you have
I
like destinations in mind?
right now I would say it would be like Austin, but I want to just that's what I'm trying to use this year since I'm like working from home, and if school is going to be like online for like a lot of it, to use like some weeks to just like go visit different places and just see like what place I like and don't like.
So Austin's number one on your tech.
Right now, that's the one. Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to be in California at all, just because I feel like it'd just be like, I would just be in my comfort zone in a sense.
Because I know that feeling.
Because even if I'm in LA, I could just be like, I could just take a flight home, or I could just drive. Yeah. But I don't want to be in that like mindset. So I just want to be in like a new area where I have to start from scratch, and like I have to have my shit together, or else like, life's just gonna like knock me down.
Have you had that? Like, I know you lived in Berkeley.
Yeah, it wasn't the same though. That's why. That's why I'm like, I need to have that like moment. Like
you need to feel like you're on your own.
Yeah.
For reals.
Yeah, like I need to feel like sure, there's still like might be a safety net, but there's no real safety net kind of thing. Like if something goes down, it's on me.
I mean, that was the shitty part about moving to Arizona, because I did have like, it was a very loose safety net, but I had like somewhat of a safety net. But at the same time, like, dude, I didn't have friends. I didn't have 95% of my family there. So at the same time, I was like, did I give you your charger?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, I'm on my own. Like, what decision I make, I have to fucking suck it up and fucking make do with it. So like, if I fuck up, that's on me. It's not on my mom. It's not on my dad. It's not on my brother. Like, no one can cover me for my shit that I made up. That was the takeout I got from Arizona.
Like, for me, it's also like, it is like some of it is accountability, but some of it also like, I feel like being back in San Jose, I kind of just do the same stuff. Yeah. It just feels too repetitive, and there's nothing wrong with like repetitiveness, right? Like you want certain things.
Your routine is how you're supposed to go about shit.
Yeah, and it helps you be like disciplined and stuff.
Yeah.
But I just want to find out like, okay, is this really like where I'm meant to be, or am I supposed to be like somewhere else, or like is somewhere else a better suit for my personality?
That's the problem in the world, though. Too, at the same time, like it's so weird, because back in the 1800s, all you knew is where you went. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm going to go to fucking Jamestown.
Yeah.
You either go to Jamestown or you go back to England.
You didn't have that many options.
You didn't have options.
Yeah.
Now it's like everything's globalized. I can go to China. I can go to fucking Argentina. I can go to fucking Brazil. I can go to anywhere.
And I think a lot of
make it happen.
A lot of it too, like before this like pandemic thing, I didn't really care about travel too much, because I used to travel with my family, and like, when you travel with family, there's always things that go wrong, or there's always like issues that pop up. So kind of like, I kind of started associating like traveling with like that environment. So I was like, I don't really care about traveling, but being like, quote unquote, like stuck to being at home for like the last 2 years more, or like give or take, I've been more appreciative of like other places. Like when we go to Reno, or like when I get to go on like trips and stuff, I'm just like, I just want to sit and like kind of people watch, or just like be a part of the culture, just kind of like understand wherever I'm at.
That's the weird part too, is like I have cousins who are like 10 plus years older than me.
Yeah.
So like they would tell me about their stories of like, oh, I'm going to Reno. I'm like, oh, that's no big deal. My mom will take me to Reno. No. I'm paying this for myself.
Yeah.
And you and I, along with our buddy Kendall, have done that trip, and it's like, oh, it's more money than we thought. It's more responsibility than we thought.
More planning,
It's more planning than we thought. I'm like, oh, is this life? Like, is this what like life as an individual and independent means?
Yeah.
Because like you don't have your mom's backing, dad's backing, fucking any relative that's sponsoring you, quote unquote, sponsoring you's backing. This is what it means to be
on your own and be like independent. Yeah.
Right. It's weird, because like we're getting to the age where it's like you're gonna have to stop relying on your parents.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to stop relying on someone else. Like everything you do is your own responsibility.
Yeah.
It's an eye opener, because a lot of people, dude, in our generation, a lot of people don't realize that until it's too late. They're
they just.
I'm gonna go move to Colorado real quick. or I'm gonna go move to Seattle, or I'm gonna go move to fucking Texas.
Yeah.
It's like you make that move, but you're gonna realize that
there's the responsibility.
The train wreck's gonna hit you like a fucking bus. You
got to be prepared for like things that come with like moving and like what you have to do that like maybe you didn't notice because your parents took care of it or something. Or yeah. And like people get homesick and that's like, or you get anxiety because you're in a new place and stuff like that. So all those feelings are gonna come when you move.
You know what's the beauty of it? I don't know if you've noticed it, but when I moved to Arizona, like even though I had my mom out there, like I felt like I was on my own because all my friends were in California.
Yeah.
So like I literally was on my own outside of my mom, and she didn't sponsor me in a way, shape, or form. Like like we'd have dinners together, but at the same time, like I took responsibility of myself.
Yeah.
So like all the friends I made, it wasn't because of her or her husband. It was because of me.
Yeah.
You know, like I literally restarted life in my own sense. Like I had to figure out who I was and like be attuned to that to where people had to accept it. You know, I went to community college for a good 2 years and trying to figure out who was like going to be a friend and family outside of blood.
Yeah.
Was a whole aspect. You know, I was like, oh my God, I'm in this environment where people are just like in and out. Like, how do I make friends? How do I feel like I belong in this area where I really don't belong because I didn't grow up here?
Yeah.
You know?
And like, again, like if you take it back to when we were all at Danza and stuff, like we all went in with friends already, right?
Yeah.
In that sense, you didn't have anyone. So you have to
really 90% of our friends who went in our group went to Danza.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the girl I was dating at the time went there. And I didn't date her at the time, but you know, she went there. Our best friend Kendall. Yeah, he went there. Fucking one of our friends who's kind of on and off the grid, Chris, went there. Like so, like it wasn't like a thing like high school where it's like I know one person, I could stick to them until I find my niche. It was like when I went to Arizona, I was like, no, I am literally the lone wolf in this pack right now. Yeah, everyone knows each other, but me. How do I fucking make a name for myself? It was weird.
Like I got the friend aspect definitely when I was at Berkeley because I didn't know anyone really. I knew like there's a couple people from our high school there, but I wasn't like hella close with them since like we lost communication after high school.
How was Berkeley, by the way? Because like, I mean, you were at Danza with us. Yeah. So, but again, at the same time, you kept yourself not closed-minded, but like you were very goal-oriented. Yeah. Right, where you're like, I'm gonna do this, and it's gonna get me to Berkeley, and I'm gonna fucking make shit happen for me.
Yeah. It was fine. I think like definitely like the first few months it was different because it was like my first time being on my own, but it wasn't like too rough. It was just things that I have to make extra time for. Kind of just like, okay, now I have to like making sure that I do my laundry on a certain day or else I'm not going to have clothes for like the week, or just like making sure the trash isn't piling up in our apartment, or else, you know, there's like flies and shit everywhere.
You know what the hard part is, dude, is like when you go into that place of uncomfortability, you set a very good routine. Like for the most part, same thing. I set a good routine for myself. Yeah. I mean, I worked at a bar, so I got off late, but at the same time, like, I got my responsibilities done. Like I did the laundry when I had to. I did the chores when I had to. I did my dishes. Yeah. Everything. I went to school when I had to. But at the same time, when I went back into that place of comfort, I got super careless. You know what I mean? Like right now, like I'm like, oh, I gotta do dishes. I could pull it off. I could hold it off for another day. Yeah. Oh, I got laundry to do. I could wait. I could hold it off for a day. I got a couple of extra pairs of fucking underwear and clothes I can wear. But at the same time, like, holy fuck, like, I was so responsible when I was on my own. Yeah. Now that I'm in this place of comfort where I don't have to be as responsible, like, I'm only doing it when it's convenient for me.
That's another reason why I'm like, I should try and like move or at least put myself in an uncomfortable situation, because I see like myself from Berkeley and I'm like, I feel like we've fallen off in some areas and I've gotten better in some areas, but I'm like, I just want everything to be at the peak. Like, I just want me to start getting better on every level instead of, like, some things are suffering because I'm in my comfort zone.
Yeah, you don't want things to, like, fucking take a hit while other things progress.
You want everything to, like, keep constantly growing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And I feel like for me, if I just stay in this area, I don't get as much perspective from other people because, like, most people either just, like, they're doing the same thing or they, like, work in tech or they know people from high school and stuff. So I kind of just want to like move somewhere and learn about other people's experiences and kind of like open my
100%,
eyes.
dude. I'm the same way. And that's why, like, when I was going the route for, like, I don't know if people know this, but I was trying to do the Navy.
Yeah.
Like, that was the same thing. I had this mindset where I was like, oh, I'm going to explore as many unknown places as I can. That way I can, like, get a feel for, like, the overall, like, country's atmosphere. You know, because at the same time, like, I'm so subjected to the West Coast. Like, you know, I don't know anything about the East Coast. I don't know anything about the West, like the Midwest.
Yeah.
You know,
or like even international or.
Right. Yeah. So like as I'm being like more open-eyed to this, I'm like, oh wow, like I'm very naive to a lot of cultures and a lot of fucking experiences.
Yeah, and like you can read about it, but it's not the same as like being there and really seeing the people, or like sometimes we get the stereotypes where it's like, oh, people in Boston are rude, or like people in this place are like rude, but you don't really know if you don't visit and really like sit there or go to like a bar there or a restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you won't know until you fucking dive yourself into that. I can't be the one to say so because honestly, I've never been to the East Coast.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't want to go there, but at the same time, like from what I've heard, there's no like interest for me going there. I want to go there so I can like see. So the experience matches what
people tell you,
what my eyes believe. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like same thing here, like or in Arizona. Like I lived in California for 19 years. I went to Arizona for 3. You know, and at the same time, I was like, I don't believe like I had such a subjective like ideology of how life should be because I lived in California for most of my life. Yeah. And then when I moved to Arizona, it was an eye opener. I was like, oh fuck, like not everybody lives like the way I do. Yeah. I'm a like literally I took my surfer persona to Arizona,
which is like a desert.
Yeah. And I made it work for me because I stick to who I am. I stick to my guns, but at the same time I'm like, oh, like this is not life.
Yeah. There's more to life than
I was like, oh shit, people live differently. Holy fuck. Like, but at the same time, it became a thing of acceptance where it was like the people I fucking befriended and like grew around, like they accepted me for who I am. But at the same time, there was a thing of like, know our differences. Yeah. Like I'm from Texas. I'm from fucking like Massachusetts. I'm from Rhode Island. I'm from fucking Ohio. Yeah. But like know who we are, but at the same time, like let's come together and fucking find a commonality.
And I think, like in our friend group, we've had friends who've gone to other places and at least stayed for a little bit. Like Chris went to Oregon, and then like I know you haven't met Scott, but Scott's out in Seattle, and he used to live in California for a while. Mm-hmm. And then like now, Reese and Kayla are in Reno, and then before Elle went to school in Reno too. So like, and you went to Arizona. So.
Oh, even Reno. Every time we visit Reno, dude, it's always different. A different thing. I'm like, oh, like, dude, like, every time we bring up surfing, the counterpart is snowboarding. Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, I surf all the time. Oh, but do you know how to snowboard? You know, I've done it a couple times. Oh, it's really different. Yeah. No, you're right. It really is.
It's different, yeah.
Like, same thing with skateboarding to surfing. Yeah. You know, it's like...
Totally different terrain, yeah.
Sorry, I can't really put my mind around it because I've never done it enough to be like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. You know?
And I feel like even though like some of our friends came back to like the Bay Area, I feel like those experiences being away probably like shaped who they are today instead of if they would have just stayed here the whole time. Yeah. So like, I think it would be a good experience. I'm not saying I would like move and never come back to the Bay Area, but I would at least want to move for maybe like a year, just see how it's like.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like that was the whole point of you moving to Berkeley, right? Yeah. Me to Arizona. I mean, it's always so funny because I always get that question when people are like, oh, why'd you move to Arizona? Yeah. Was it for school? And I was like, no, that wasn't my initial reason, but it became. Yeah. You know, I went to Arizona because it was an opportunity. I kind of felt like I burned bridges here, and I needed a new chance to like find who I was. And it turned into the fact that I was like, oh, I still want to pursue education. Yeah. At the same time, like that wasn't my main purpose, you know. But now I came back, and now that's like a talking point. Oh, you went to Arizona for education? Like
kind of.
It's annoying to have that conversation because like no, not really. Like I wasn't there for education. I was there to start a new life. Like, yeah. Not saying that this life was bad, but yeah. I was running out of options here, or at least in my own head, I was running out of options.
I feel, yeah.
So I went to go explore new options. I wanted to, you know, fucking traverse new territory, and that became how it was. I came back because, you know, the territories I traversed kept on like copying the same patterns as they did in California. So for me, I was like, okay, there's something I was missing in California that I need to make up for it before I can move on to my next step in life.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, you know, it's like, who knows? You know, there's so much world out there that we haven't explored. You know, and like we're so subjected to our own little culture.
Yeah.
You know, if you, like I said, I work in a bar. Everyone lives the
California
that
life.
area.
Yeah.
Right, the Bay Area, fucking specifically to the South Bay lifestyle.
Yeah. Like they work at a tech company or like.
Oh yeah.
They work the 9 to 5.
It's either sales or engineering.
Yeah.
It's really like the niche of those people, and when you bartend, it's really interesting because you're like, how the fuck are these people affording this money? And you're like, oh, I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
I'm a sales. I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Like that's the niche of California, or like at least the area that we're from.
Yeah.
But you fucking branch out and you find farmers and you find fucking, you know, firefighters and you find fucking, you know, EMTs.
Yeah. Or like nurses and stuff. Yeah.
It's really a eye opener for sure. You know.
And I think also having friends who are from other places, because when I was in Berkeley, I had a friend who was from like China, and then at Berkeley, I have a couple of friends who are like, one was from Japan, one was from like Korea and stuff, and then in this past year, I have a friend from like Malaysia. So I'm like, these people are all from like this other part of the world, and I'm like, I just want to visit where they're from and see like what it was like for them growing up, kind of.
So, oh yeah, well, when I was in Arizona, I had a buddy, and I told you this story off air, but I had a buddy who like rented, like he got a table, right? Like when you're at a bar, you get a table.
Yeah.
Or a club. And like he was from China. You know, his American name was Peter, but that's definitely
not his real name.
But like he lived a lifestyle where he was very giving. And I was like, what? Like where does this come from?
Yeah.
You know, I don't meet a lot of
people.
Not that I don't meet a lot of people here, but like it's not very well like expressed.
Yeah, or as common. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm like there's a lot to this world that I have no idea of.
Yeah.
Like I'm very subjected to the West Coast, you know, or like the Western side of specifically the U.S. You know, there's like so much world to explore where I'm like trying to understand. You know, there's like Japan, there's Europe, there's all of Europe, all of Asia that I've yet to like understand.
Even like South America or like
It's very funny how people like shape their mindset around how their lifestyle is.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, I'm American. And again, this is in no form
like disrespect,
disrespect or any like subjectivity to Americanization or anything like that. But like, you know, that's just how it goes. Like we went to a private school in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
You know, people have that Bay Area mindset where like everyone kind of thinks like me because that's all I know. You know, but at the same time, like I mean, we were subjected to one, and I'm gonna make this number very valid, but one Australian dude who was a basketball player.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I don't have to say his name. But like he lived a life very differently.
Yeah, he grew up different, like his experiences are different.
I came from whatever part of Australia.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I wonder how Australia lives. I wonder how, you know, England, like English people live, how fucking Welsh people live, how fucking German people live. As you start to develop that like cultural like
interest,
globalization, you like realize like, holy fuck, my mindset has been so narrow because I've been surrounded by the people who think like me.
Like in a lot of ways we're similar, but I want to find out like what makes them different.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And it's also like cool, like even if we're similar, like how did you get to this from your experiences and how did I get to this from our experiences?
And on the other side of that, hand, it's like you and I have been growing up in the same area. How are we so fucking different?
Yeah.
You know, oh man, we had like not the same upbringings, but something very similar. How did you and I become so different based on our circumstances? Because we grew up in the same area or very similar areas, and yet like we've lived different pathways. You know, really interesting.
Yeah, so I think for right now, that's like the plan after I finish for this. In terms of like job stuff, I'm still trying to like finalize exactly what I want to do. I haven't narrowed down like 2 or 3 things, but I'm trying to keep my options open for like whatever will give me the most like growth and like happiness in the future. Because like I know we've talked about this a lot. Like money isn't happiness, but you also don't want to be in a position where you're always constantly worrying about money either, because that's not healthy.
That's the problem too, is finding that happy balance, right?
Yeah.
It's like finding financial freedom at the same time, not compromising all the time in your world. Like I think that's where you and I almost come to bygones in a respectful regard. Is that like for me, I work all the time.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to build like some form of not legacy, but like respect and like reputation for myself. But at the same time, I compromise my time because I work a lot of the hours I do. In the same regard, you're trying to build your education and reputation and status in a different direction.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like you don't work as much, or that I know of.
Yeah.
So you don't have that like workforce reputation that I do. Like I've been working since I was like 15, 16.
Yeah.
You know, so like I have so much experience under my belt. At the same time, you've been working in a different matter where it's like I am specializing in X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, how do you find that happy balance, and what happy balance works for you? Some people prefer more work compared to free lifestyle.
Yeah.
Other people prefer the opposite, where they live within their means, you know, and they make it happen.
Like I don't mind like the more work hours or anything like that, but to me also, like let's say in the future if I have like a family and kids, I don't want to be like, oh, I can't take a day off because my kid is sick today, or like, oh, I can't take a day off because it's my kid's birthday, or I can't make my kid's like sports game or like band performance. Or, like I still want to be in a position where I don't have to work hours if I don't want to, so I could be there for like my kids or like my wife or whatever.
That's the interesting part. So we're at that age where it's like you got to make this decision now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
you got to make the sacrifices now for like later, in a sense.
I mean, that's why I work so much as I do. Because I'm like, saving up that money for that lifestyle where I can be like, hey, I'm not coming in because my son has my daughter has a sports event that I want to be there for. You know? I mean, end of the day, the way it goes is that, I mean, from what I've known, and from how lifestyles have been lived, is that you want to do better than how your parents did.
You want to push
means, right? Oh, my dad didn't make it to all of my soccer games because he had 2 kids.
Yeah.
And the oldest, not took precedence, but at the same time, like,
the
younger has more time for me to make it through to those games.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Like, you know how it goes. So for me, like, how do I do better than that? It's almost like a competition within parenting, right? Oh, my dad did this. How do I one-up him? And it's not a thing of like, I'm showboating.
Yeah, it's just like, you want to like...
How do I make my lifestyle better for my son, daughter?
And you want to just raise the bar, right? You don't want it to drop. You want to keep pushing the like bar to see how far you can get, or like your family can get, or whatever.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. This is, again, like you said, it's not a thing of competition where I'm like, I'm competing with my dad. No, I see how he raised me, and I'm learning from his mistakes or his, like, what he did right, what he did wrong. Oh, he did right in these aspects.
Yeah.
You know, oh, he spent so much time with us, and he developed us in the ways he foresaw in us. At the same time, he didn't give us as many opportunities as expected. So how do I find that happy balance where I have to sacrifice more time spent because he spent too much time with us?
Yeah.
And again, these are just examples because
everyone's experience is different.
My dad raised me up perfectly.
Yeah. I
can't say not because, he has zero experience to learn from,
Yeah,
like very minimal because, you only learn from your parent.
Like for a while, I'd be like upset or like I guess angry, like, oh, why didn't you do like parent this way or do this or do that? But I'm also like, you have to realize they're also learning how to be a parent. And like let's say like for your brother and stuff, it was probably like their first time going through everything, so they're also kind of clueless in a sense, but they can't show that they're clueless. They got to show that they know what they're doing. They're gonna make some mistakes along the way, but
that's the weird aspect of life, dude. Is that like you almost understand your role immediately. I'm the oldest brother. I have to set the example for the youngest brothers if I have a sibling. Oh, I'm the only child. I have no example to set, but at the same time, I want to set a good bar for
like
my future kid or for my future relatives. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you get born into your status in some respect, your identity, and then you develop who you are around that in some sense. Whether you build that for the better or worse, that's
Up
on
to
you.
Yeah.
That's where it becomes like that freedom of like, who are you? You know, at the same time, you know, like I said, like it's unspoken, but at the same time, I feel like people understand their roles in life in that regard of like societal families.
Yeah.
Like my brother knows he's the oldest brother in my family.
Yeah.
We only have 2 brothers, me and him. He's the oldest, and I'm the youngest.
Yeah.
We know our respective roles.
Yeah.
Same thing of like if we expand it a little further, like he's like the second youngest boy in our family. He knows that. It's not hard to deduce that factor. Okay, what does that mean for him? That's whatever he wants it to mean.
Yeah.
At the same time, for me, I'm the youngest boy in my family. What does that mean for me? Okay, I can make it whatever I want it to be. You know?
I always find it interesting how like life has like a kind of repetitive cycle. Like you go through elementary school, then you start at middle school. You kind of have to start from scratch if you switch schools or whatever. Mm-hmm. Same thing in high school. You got to like start from scratch, and it does the same thing in college. And then when you start at a new job or whatever, you're at the bottom, right? So you still have to establish your role. What are you going to be for the company and stuff?
Yeah.
And then like same thing when you have kids. You're like at the bottom in a sense, like you don't know what's going on. You don't know how to like change a diaper. Like I got to stay up at night, make sure the baby's not crying and all this stuff. And then you slowly get better and then you understand your role. Like, you know, like in parenting, there's always one that's more like emotionally connected. And then there's one that's not as emotionally connected.
Practical. Yeah.
You just find your role like, and it takes time. You're always going to be at an early stage and then you'll work your way up to where you got to be.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, that's how you know if, like... I mean, there's not kids that make you think the relationship works, but at the same time, it's like knowing... Like you said, knowing your role. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you said, some people know exactly where they are in that aspect. Like, oh, you know, I'm going to be the more nurturing parent that's going to be practical, hands-on. Someone else is going to be the more, like, you know, like life-lessoning parent where it's like, oh, I saw you did this wrong. Let me fucking show you not how to do it right, but
just what
let
else
me give
you
you the experiences I had, so you know even more. Now you can learn from that, and you have less options to fucking explore because now you know my experiences, your own experiences, and now you have this third option of unknowns. Yeah, you know that's just how it goes. You know, in the same respect, like you know, as a kid. You know, I have parents. I don't have kids. You know, that's how it goes. I'm too young. Not that I'm too young.
But you're just not at that stage.
It's not my timeline yet. It's not in my works right now. Do I want kids? For sure. But at the same time, it's like, I'm fucking a kid myself. Holy shit. I'm 20. I'm in my 20s. And I still think I am not ready. You know, at the same time, like, I'm building that mindset to be
like ready. A parent one day,
because it'll happen at any moment. You have those stories where people are fucking parents at 18, 16. And
they didn't plan for it,
I'm trying to get myself as ready as I can. At the same time, like, fuck, dude, this world is crazy.
Yeah. Like, there's always new things happening, unpredictability everywhere. So
I mean, that's the whole. Like, that's a theory in and of itself, chaos theory, right? Yeah. Where it's like, oh, you know the initial like. If you know the initial like starting points of 2 objects, you know, in motion, in this chaotic motion, then you could know the whole outline. But we never know. Yeah, we never know, dude. It's crazy. Yeah. Like, so what do you do? What do we do? You know, you fucking do what you can to make it best for whatever the outcome is. You're gonna guesstimate. You're gonna fucking do what you can to make sure that whatever happens before you is the best outcome for you and everything going ahead of you that you want in your respective care. Yeah. You know, this is how it goes.
And I think with like a lot of those like stages where you're like at the bottom of the totem pole or whatever, it's like it's the same thing we were talking about earlier with being in an area where you're not comfortable, like your uncomfortability. And those are like where you grow the most. You find out like, oh, as a parent, I lack this, or like my partner does this better, or like how can I improve and stuff like that. So
that's what I've realized too, is that like when you jump and venture into that unknown, jump into those scary factors. Yeah. Literally, your heart starts to sink because you're like, I don't know what's gonna happen next. That's where you find out a lot about yourself and a lot about like how you're going to go about things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how you figure out, like, oh, this is how I handle these situations. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be bad. It's always
rough. Yeah.
It's always rough. But at the same time, once you get through the roughs, like, now you know going forward, it's going to be a lot smoother.
Yeah.
You know what the fucking baseline of rough is for you. Holy fuck, that was terrifying.
Yeah.
Okay, nothing's going to be as terrifying as that moment. And if it is, well, shit. Now you look back on those moments and you go, oh, I guess it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. I feel like that always happens. Like, even in school, we're always like, oh, high school wasn't as bad, like when you're in college. And then when you're in high school, you're like, middle school wasn't as bad.
I'm 100%. Yeah. I mean, especially when you go through it. If you think about your mindset, and you can't do it now because, like, you have a very retrospective mindset, but at the same time, it goes to a thing of like, man, middle school wasn't as bad, or holy fuck, middle school was terrible compared to high school.
Depending on your experience, yeah.
Right, and now you're like, oh, high school was amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, what did you change, or like, yeah.
Right, and then you fucking adjust that fucking wheel of like how you go about things from there. You know?
It's always weird because a lot of people get anxiety, and like, I don't blame them, because things like you don't know about, or like things in the future that you don't want to think about, always bring like some sort of fear, right?
Yeah.
But it's always crazy once you're in those moments and you're looking back, you're like, dang, why was I even worried? Or like, this wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It's just like, sometimes you just have to know like there's a storm coming, but you have to be ready to weather it, and then you'll be fine on the other side.
Well, that's like a thing that I've learned, is that like life never gets easier for you.
Yeah.
You just get better for it.
Yeah. You get stronger.
You level up. It's like a video game. You level up, and as you progress through the game, the monsters don't get harder. You just get fucking stronger
to beat them.
To beat them, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And you will come across like some monsters or some levels where you're stumped, or it takes you a while to get move on or whatever.
I mean, to beat a game, you have to beat the final boss.
Yeah.
It's not like it's going to be like, oh, this is easy.
Yeah, yeah.
The final boss is going to be a final boss because
they test everything. The hardest
thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's going to take multiple attempts. You're going to want to quit, you know.
Oh, yeah, dude.
But eventually you'll figure out, okay, this is what I got to do, or like this is what level I got to get to, or these attributes got to get better. And
or you build up that like experience beyond where you're like, okay, I've gone through this much, like I'm not giving up now. I made it this far. You know?
I think that mindset of just not giving up is like super key.
Yeah.
Because 100%. Life's definitely going to test you.
Yeah,
and you're going to have your back against the wall multiple times. It's just like, what do you have that's going to keep you going, kind of?
That's the weird thing, is like, you hear it from your parents, you hear it from people older than you, that like life gets harder as you go through. But like at the same time, you and I are very young.
Yeah.
And like experiencing it firsthand is something different than from
hearing it from someone else.
From an outside source, for sure. On that note, like, I know we've been almost a month into the new year, but like, I like to think of it differently. Like, oh, the Chinese New Year starts in February 1st. Yeah. Like, do you have any goals or any like expectations for that? I'm very symbolic. Let me put this out there. I'm very symbolic in the sense that like, oh, it's the end of the year of the ox. That's my year.
Yeah.
I was born in the year of the ox. So my year's about to end, quote unquote. But at the same time, like, it's a new year for me to fucking grind it even harder and just keep warping up to it until my year comes back.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's going to end in 2022 or the new year of Chinese New Year, or, oh, now it's the year of the tiger, or whatever year comes after. But at the same time, like, wow. You know, I really, honestly, and this is a very personal perspective, I didn't realize it was the year of the ox until
the end.
It ended.
Yeah.
So now I'm making the best of what I can. How am I going to take that into the following years? Like, how do you see that for yourself? Like, what do you see for yourself?
Like, I'm not super knowledgeable about like Chinese New Year and stuff, but I know I believe it is the year of the tiger. Mm-hmm. And to me, the way I'm thinking about it is, I kind of want to embody what like a tiger would represent in a sense, like someone, like an animal that's strong or like is brave, or it kind of like stands up for other people.
Almost like an apex.
Yeah. And I kind of want to carry that throughout this year. Like, you know, have like the most confidence and just build myself up to the best that I can be, and just take on new challenges head first instead of like second guessing myself.
What kind of challenges are you going to What goals do you, or what challenges do you plan on overtaking this year?
I feel like I gotta step up more, just like communicating and just like leadership and kind of like I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, just like how in the past I used to be like, oh, this is just me, but I'm gonna like try and adjust to people and make sure like, I am communicating the way they want things to be communicated to them while still like keeping myself intact in a way.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, you're trying to like not compromise yourself, but at the same time collaborating yourself into working in not teams, but at the same time like building that self for you, so you could make the best asset of yourself. Moving forward. I mean, same thing for me. Like for me, it's a matter of like I said, I didn't figure out that it was the year of the ox until it was already over. So in that regard, I'm going to take this year and I'm going to make the best of it. Make that change that I didn't see for myself in the prior years. 2020, 2021 was a very dilapidating year in the sense of like COVID and what we had going for us. In that sense, like it's almost like a reset for me in that regard of, I'm going to make the best of what I can. And now that I see things have been looking a lot more better for me. Thankfully, you know what I mean? Like, I've been moving in the right direction. At the same time, I got to keep that going. Whatever that means, communication-wise, like lifestyle-wise, like whatever it means, like I got to move in that direction.
And then, like, we touched upon this a little bit earlier, how we felt that, like, when we were in college, we were, like, more responsible in certain ways. And I kind of want to hold myself accountable and get back to that, like, level of responsibility, even for like right now, even if it's not as necessary or even if I can get away with certain things, I just want to hold myself to that standard again.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. On that note, man, like, let's stick to those goals. Keep ourselves accountable, especially on this podcast, as everyone who's listening fucking holds us accountable. As much as we hold ourselves accountable. But let's start 2022 on a good note.
Start the new Chinese New Year on a good note.
Yeah. I mean, now we're moving to this world of globalization in a sense, like not in a sense of like turning everything into a globalized world. But at the same time, like we have so much access and Wi-Fi. Again, I'm taking this to such a macro level. But at the same time, we're so globalized, like this world is moving as one, or it's starting to move as one. So let's keep it going in that direction. Like let's move out of this fucking funk that we had for 2 years. It was a good reset, good like
time to reflect.
It was a very good time to reflect, good time to like realize what you want for yourself.
What's important,
Like some people, and a lot of people don't really know what they want for themselves.
That's fine.
At the same time, they've had the opportunity to take that freedom of choice to decide, what direction do I want to go? I think everyone wants to go forward, but people don't realize sometimes you have to take a few steps back to realize how forward you've been moving. So in that respect, I appreciate everyone who's listening in on this. We've been doing this for what? Almost a year now.
A little over a year,
And it's gone to where it's gone. Thank you very much. And on that note, it's keep riding with us. Hear from us some more. And this is your boy Maui.
This is Bambi.
And this is Couch Surfing.
Peace.